This is a podcast for waking up the dreamers of the world. Are you a dreamer? Do you see yourself as a visionary here to fulfill your life's sacred purpose?
Do you believe your higher self is leaving you clues to life every night in your dreams? I'm Patch.
And I'm Sara, and we're certified specialists in the subconscious mind. Every week we show you how to step beyond the physical and tap into the power of your mind.
We're here to help you discover your spiritual gifts and to wake up. Welcome to Dream Lovers. And welcome to the Dream Lovers podcast. I am Patch Diry, one of your hosts.
Welcome back. I'm Sara Diry, your other host.
And we're really glad you're here today. We're excited because we have a dream submission from a listener we're going to dive into.
And I'm very excited too. If you have a dream that you would like interpreted, analyzed by the two of us, then there is a submission form on our podcast website, dreamloverspodcast.com. So please go. We are loving all of the newer submissions that we're getting. So we can't do all of them, but we love having a variety to go through to pick out the best ones that we think could help a lot of people and help people really dig in on their own dreams to start to begin to analyze theirs, right?
Absolutely. And this is not a hobby. We do this professionally. We're professional dream analysts. And so if you want to get the benefit of a professional analysis of what's going on in your brain while you're dreaming, then yes, make a submission. We'd love to hear it.
Yes. Okay. So you want to go ahead and read?
We had talked earlier about starting with something else. Do you want to do that?
Let's do that. Okay. So first of all, you're right. I'm just trying to just jump into bed and just do all the things. Let's just slow down and have a little romance. Okay?
I would like to point out that is your tendency to jump into bed and to do all the things.
Anyway, so let's have a little romance first. Okay, no, seriously though, there's the reason that we were discussing this earlier. The reason I wanted to do what we're going to do first is because we're recording this on June 30th. It will come out, in a day or two from now, tomorrow, I guess. But
June 30th of 2022, we should point out, because you could be listening to this in the year 3072. Correct. And you might be like, what's the context for this thing I'm listening to, this ancient recording?
Thank you. And so the world is in continual chaos from the last, couple of years. And the big thing right now, the big chaos happening in the world right now is the overturning of Roe v. Wade. And we're not going to get into a whole political debate or anything about it, although I will say I am very highly upset about the overturning. I'll just say it. I don't care. I think it's important to share how we feel about certain things because then I think it gives everybody permission collectively to come together to do something about it. And so regardless of how you feel about abortion, it doesn't matter. If you care, in my opinion, about women and women's rights, then we're on a slippery slope. So it's been a rough week for a lot of women specifically, but a lot of people. You can share how you feel about it, although we didn't discuss that we were going all the way down on this. But the point is, regardless of this specific thing happening, it's been an intense week collectively. We can all feel the energy in the air of chaos. And so Patrick and I both are obsessed with the nervous system and really just calibrating. I'll say that, calibrating in a way that is going to allow you to feel your best. And so Patrick came in this morning and he was like, do you want me to teach you? this really amazing breathing technique? And I was like, no. And then I was like, just kidding. Sure. Tell me. So anyway, however you feel right now, let's come together and take a moment to just breathe. Do you want to say anything before we get into it?
About
yeah, I mean, I opened the door, so go ahead. Lightly.
I will just say that I was disheartened by the change, and I only say that because I don't think the world needs one more man talking and giving his opinion on women's issues and women's bodies and stuff. And so no one should care what I think. My opinion is not important, just to the degree that I can say I share solidarity with everyone who's having their rights taken away and who's not being given a voice in their own lives and their own bodies. And that's not to say that abortion is a simple issue. I think even people who are pro-choice probably want fewer abortions, but I don't know that, and it doesn't matter if they do or not, or what I think. This is a rights issue, and nobody. I've said nobody cares what one more guy has to say, but I've kept talking, so I'll just say.
I agree and I disagree, and I'll tell you why. I think that the more men that speak up in solidarity, the more we're banding together and using the collective masculine, feminine energies in all of us to create a change. And I think, it's like with many issues, silence is part of the problem sometimes. So yeah, I will just say.
So maybe the most important message that I can give, the most important opinion is one of solidarity. And so that's what I offer, is solidarity with women.
I like it. Okay. All right.
So regardless of your gender, though, it's potentially possible that right now you're feeling kind of frazzled, and you.
That's right. That's exactly the point. Yes.
Our nervous system is what we use to perceive the world around us and the world inside of us, and make responses, do things, take action based on that perception. And so most of us in 2022, our nervous systems are out of whack because our bodies are meant to be under 30 to 60 seconds of stress at a time. So, you're being attacked by an animal, and so your body goes into a quick response. What do I do? What happens? And thankfully that stuff happens subconsciously. If you had to think about it, you'd be dead. But you go into a subconscious response to that, and it's meant to happen quickly. And then you go back to resting and digesting and sex and all the things that you do when you're feeling safe. But unfortunately, at 2022 and years before, we're kind of under a constant baseline of stress, whether it's relationships or children or bills or your job or your boss or politics. We have so many things that are pushing us to stay in that stress level, and we're not meant to stay in that stress level. And if we stay in it, then our body starts releasing chemicals that are dangerous to us. A little bit of cortisol is necessary. You need cortisol to function. But if your body is constantly releasing cortisol, which is what it does when it's under stress, then heart problems occur, digestion problems occur, premature aging occurs, sleep deprivation occurs. All these things happen.
Health issues, did you say that?
Yeah. All these things, your immune system is weakened. All these things happen that makes life harder. And so if we can give you just a little way to regulate your nervous system and come down out of that fight or flight, high anxiety place, then we felt like that'd be a good way to start. And so it's really simple, and you can do it anywhere. You don't have to go to a yoga retreat. You don't have to meditate. You don't have to get a massage. You can do this at work when you're in the middle of the stressful situation. And it's just a way of breathing. And so what you do is you take one, and you can do this through your mouth, but it's recommended you do it through your nose. One quick, normal, deep breath. And then as soon as you get it in, you do another quick one after that. So your 2 breaths. So it's basically you're filling your lungs and then you're going just a little bit more. And then you release slowly through your nose. And the way
you're releasing through your nose as well, not your mouth.
Yes. Yeah. And the way exhale works, exhale slows your heart rhythm. When you inhale, if you focus on the inhale, if you did like a long inhale, that would make your heart speed up. And so you do that quick into them, and then you make the exhale really slow. And as you do a slow exhale, that slows your heart down, and it makes your heart not have to work so hard. And when that happens, you start moving out of that stress state into a more relaxed state. So that it's just that simple. It's a 2 breaths in.
3 of them. Can we do 3 together?
Yeah. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Again. Again. And I tried to be kind of exaggerated for the sake of hearing and watching. But if you're in your office and you're in a stress state, you don't have to like jerk your whole body with it and everything. Like just 2 breaths, filling your lungs, and then seeing if you can go just a little bit more above where you filled it, and then slowly letting it out. And that if you do that a few times, I think you'll be surprised at how much that calms you down. And, do it as much as you need to get back to that state. And because when you get to that calm state, then your frontal cortex activates. And that's the thing that lets you think and be creative and respond in appropriate ways. When you're in that stress state, your prefrontal cortex shuts down. And so then you can't make good decisions based on what's happening. So,
right. And you put yourself in the reverse of that is a more creative state. You're actually starting to open the channel to the subconscious as well, even just in that waking relaxation. You're opening up to creativity. So many good benefits. I love it. And I'm glad we did that.
And speaking of roads and doors to the subconscious, Freud said dreams were the royal road to the subconscious. And so we're going to analyze a dream from a listener. And so Sarah, you have that. Are you gonna read that for us?
I got it right here.
Okay.
All right. Hi, guys. I always have such vivid, real dreams and wake up remembering almost every detail. I've been recording my dreams for a few years now, and I hope to one day become a professional dream interpreter. Love it. You can come work with us. Here's one of my dreams that I'd love to have some insight on. I dreamt I was in a bathroom at home. I'm 25 and live with my parents, so it's technically still my childhood bathroom. There were a bunch of clothes on the floor, and my youngest cousin left them there, and I was annoyed at her and told her to please pick them up since we had people over. The clothes were colorful. Something was tie-dye, and she picked them up and cleared the bathroom. Also in the bathroom was my best friend's new stepmom. Her dad got married last week, and the shower was running, It was white and peaceful, almost glowing in the white blue bathroom. It felt and looked steamy from the water running, and my friend's stepmom was naked on the top, and I saw her breasts and nipples and was confused. In another part of my dream, I had plucked off a long hair from my eyebrow, and my eyebrow looked weird once it was gone. And I was showing my best friend and a different cousin who I don't talk to. All over the place. I know. That's sometimes how dreams are, isn't it? But I would love to have insight. Looking forward to listening. Okay. So
awesome. So there's a lot of what I would think of as potentially archetypal imagery here. And so because we don't know this listener, because they're not someone we're face-to-face working with, we'll be forced to go with the archetypal imagery. If this were a client, if this were someone face-to-face, we'd have the option to ask questions about, well, what does this thing mean?
Here as well, of like offering some questions that this individual, but also would be helpful as you're interpreting your own dreams, questions that would help you interpret. So, yeah.
Sure. And so I say that just to say, doing it this way is something we do for the podcast, for listening pleasure. But a person's personal associations to the image is always going to be, I think, potentially more beneficial or more correct, if that means anything in this context, to getting to the bottom of the dream.
Fuller picture of it. Yeah.
So the very first thing is the setting. This dreamer lives with her parents, but she's 25, so she says it's technically her childhood home, and so I think even if you live in your own home and then you dream back to your childhood home, that can be a very clear arrow pointing to your childhood and childhood experiences and stuff like that. And so I think that's possible here, but almost the fact that the person still lives in this home and is dreaming of it, I don't think we have to narrow the focus to childhood. Right. We can just say this dream may be speaking to familial concerns or familial priorities and thoughts and priorities. So what are how is your life affected by being a part of this family, by exposure to your parents and other family? So we'll kind of start there, that this is whatever's being addressed here is being addressed in the context of your family. The other thing is it takes place in a bathroom, like Sarah pointed out. So this may not be the language everybody would use or even this dreamer would use, but what do you do in a bathroom? Well, that's where you go to take care of your shit. And so this dream may be saying to the dreamer, you need to take care of your shit. As in the context of your family and your parents and your relationships. And so she goes in, and her cousin has left clothes piled up everywhere in the bathroom. And that causes the dreamer some anxiety because people are coming over. People are going to see this. And so she has some anxiety around it. And so a lot of times when we talk about clothes in a dream, or we dream about clothes, clothes are something we put on to be between us and the rest of the world. And it's sometimes how we express ourselves and express our personalities. And so in a lot of ways, clothes and dreams can often be a symbol for our personas, the personality, the attitude, the affectations that we put on because we want the world to see us a certain way. And so for this dreamer to walk in and see that her cousin has left a bunch of clothes laying around the floor, one of the first things I would ask the dreamer, and I will ask the dreamer, is think about your cousin and the way this particular cousin, presents themselves to the world. And the fact that in this dream, we have the image of a lot of different personas being discarded and laid around. Would you think of this cousin as kind of like a master, not a master of disguise that has a little bit of a devious connotation? I don't mean that, but is this cousin able to kind of put on whatever face is necessary for a particular moment? Can this cousin be whatever another person wants them to be at a certain time, and then when they're done with that, take it off and throw it on the ground and become something else?
And the other question then is, if that isn't, then what is it specifically that they do represent to you?
Yeah. But based on the images of the dreams, that's kind of like where we would lead is, and even if they're not that, if you want to describe them with
sorts, is that kind of what?
Like what are the ways that
adaptable, they're able to adapt to any situation?
Yes.
And
well put. So what is it about this cousin and their ability to adapt, and why are you annoyed by or disturbed by the thought of other people seeing this or experiencing this? Have you felt in your own life a pressure to, you got to be authentic, you got to be who you are, you can't adapt to the situation? And that's not, like, people don't normally criticize you for being adaptable, but there is a negative connotation to that. There is a negative way to look at that. And it would be, you have to be who you are. You have to figure out who you are. You can't, you can't just go through life not having taken a position. You have to take a position on your life, if that makes sense. And so I think the message of that, the frustration around somebody not having taken a position, and maybe how that, and because basically this dream isn't about your cousin, this dream is about you. So this dream isn't trying to say, here's how you need to feel about your cousin. The dream is saying, here's how you need to feel about you in relation to your cousin, in the context of what you're seeing about your cousin here. But the dream goes on. All of a sudden, the bathroom is
it starts
white,
glowing
and beautiful and glowing, and it's really a very pleasant picture that you paint of this. And your friend's new stepmother steps out of the shower, topless, no clothes, so no persona. So you're seeing this stepmother for who she is. She's not putting on any airs.
No clothes there.
No clothes. She's being herself. And I will point out that when that happens, what happens to the environment? It's beautiful. Yeah. It's white. It's almost ethereal in your description of it.
Is so good because it plays right into my the one big thing that I picked up on.
Okay.
But I'll wait till you're ready to go on to the eyebrows.
Oh, okay.
Tell me, because it plays right into this.
Okay. And so we're seeing a contrast between these two people in this dream. There's something about the cousin and the multitude of personas that are just left around and laying around that are annoying to you. But when you see this stepmother, this friend's stepmother, without persona, it's beautiful. And so that might be a message being presented to you. And I think I maybe know where you're going, and maybe it's where I went to.
Let me do it.
Okay, I will. I'm going to let you do it. I
want to get one in.
Okay, go ahead. I won't presume to communicate, here's the message of this dream, but I will say a light is being shown on two different ways of being. One is multiple, easily discarded personas, and one is a lack of persona. And in the dream, the lack of persona, the authenticity, the kind of lack of pretext or pretense is shown in a much more positive light. When there's a lot of personas, when there's a lot of change and potential ways of presenting yourself to the world, it's annoying to you. But when someone appears without pretext, it's potentially beautiful. And so now I'm going to turn it over to my associate to blow your minds with her. All
right. So here's the thing, though. I did makeup for 12 plus years. And when I would do
professionally, you did like cosmetology
for myself. But yes, I did. I was a hair and makeup artist for 12 plus years. And so the very first thing that I picked up on of this entire thing was the eyebrow, because I was like, oh, I love that. An eyebrow, because she says, I plucked off a long hair in my eyebrow, and my eyebrow looked weird once it was gone. And I was showing to my best friend and a different cousin who I don't talk to. Okay, so what are your eyebrows? Your eyebrows are the frame. They're the frame to your face, but they are also the frame to, what do we usually call the eyes? The window to the soul. And so when she plucked her eyebrow, it looked weird. It was no longer framing in a specific way. And who was she showing this to but her best friend? So the essentially like this window to your soul, not looking a certain perfect way, you're able to show to the people. And I would be curious about that cousin, the other cousin as well. But so it's interesting because it's what you're saying. There's these two different ways of being around authenticity, around really that kind of showing who you are. And then it's bringing it back to you to say, look at this, who you are comfortable showing your true soul, bearing your soul, your authentic being to. And I'll turn it back over to you now. That's all I got. you can weave it all together and put the pretty bow on it. But
that was excellent. And because you had 12 years in cosmetology, you're going to come to this with a different point of view than I am, and right? which underlines why. And the dreamer is going to have completely different associations to all these images, and that's why dream analysis is very personal. It depends on your personal associations. The big thing that I got from the eyebrow thing goes back to this message of authenticity. When she plucked this eyebrow, and it was really long, so it looked
weird.
She saw it as an imperfection.
Yeah.
You know, if it's that long, then it doesn't look the way it's supposed to. But
right,
when she plucked it, she's like, oh, I don't look right without that.
Yes.
And so to me, this dream really seems to be talking about how you're presenting yourself and whether it's authentic or not. And presenting ourselves authentically sometimes means keeping the big long eyebrow, because that's one of our imperfections, and our imperfections are a part of who we are. And they make us who we are. And if we try to cover those, if we're like, oh, that person's not going to like my imperfection, so we become like the cousin and we put on an outfit that we think they'll like, then we're not being our true selves. We're not being like the topless stepmother. We're not creating beauty with our own imperfections. So I would ask this dreamer, what are some ways that you are not being authentic in the way you present yourself to other people? What are you what long hairs are you plucking because you don't think other people will like them? And the truth of this seems to be is authenticity is beautiful. When you try to get rid of the imperfection, you don't look right.
Yeah.
When you put on a bunch of clothes or have a bunch of potential personas laying around, it clutters things and things aren't beautiful. She didn't describe the bathroom with the cluttered clothes as beautiful and white and ethereal. It was annoying to her. But then when we finally saw someone without the personas, there was beauty. So
that would be the question I would want to leave all of our listeners with is, where are you specifically trying to over perfect yourself to the point that you take away all of the things that make you unique or different, and you are afraid to show that authentic version to the world? Where are you doing that in your own life? This is what I love about dreams, is because this is this person's dream, but there's an overall wisdom that we can all apply to our lives. So
absolutely,
everybody listening, write that question down, ask yourself, sit with that, do a little self-reflection of your own about where you're trying to cover things up that aren't perfect about you and not show your true self.
When we, each of us has core values, and that doesn't mean each of us has a thing that we embody better than other people. It's not about embodying, it's about aspiring to. What is the thing that you aspire to? And one of the things that I aspire to, my core value, I would say probably my deepest core value, is authenticity. I really want to try and show myself, flaws and all. And sometimes I'm good at that, sometimes I'm not, and sometimes I do put on personas, and sometimes I'm performative. But when I'm really like tuned into who I am and what I want to be authentic. And I think that's probably frustrating to Sara, because probably sometimes
I hate that about you.
Well, I'm a little too. Well, I just mean I'm a little too, especially in settings like this.
You do, yes.
I'm a little too apt to share things that you may not want shared. I'm a little too like look at this issue I have. Look at this gross thing. Look at this dirty laundry. Like I have very few qualms about doing that.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the part that I'll say, and this is kind of bearing some of my authenticity for everyone, is I'm much more guarded to. So here's what I kind of see in myself, is that I'm an open book. If you're a close person in my life, you see all the warts, you see all the things, you see all the ugliness. I don't try to hide it, but there's circles of intimacy with me, and I don't show everything to everyone. I'm extraordinarily private and guarded with a larger, world. And then it's like there are, it's like you have to have the privilege to come in and see all the things. So in a way, this dream is resonant with me of like, oh, well, I would show my best friend, but getting further out, I get more guarded. Yeah. Whereas you don't have that. You just,
we pointed out
whatever level, the guy you met at the grocery, you'll let him know.
Yeah, I'm the stepmother. I'm getting out of the shower. You can see my boobs. But we even kind of pointed out last week, I think, in the last week's episode, that I have, and this is part of it, I've spent my life on stage. And because of that, on stage is an appropriate place for me to, I'm going to show the stuff. I'm going to and I before Sarah, um, my mom was very frustrated by my tendency to do that, and she's criticized me before and been like, "You will
Just
tell
tell it all.
everything. You'll
Yeah.
just tell it all." And if you do have, if you're in my life and you have a level of privacy, I can see where that's frustrating. And so
And I don't care if you
I
do it about you, just don't do it about
no, but what I'm saying is I try to catch myself, and I don't do a very good job sometimes, is asking myself, like, am I revealing something about just me, or am I revealing something about us or my family? And so
And here's the
uh,
other part about me too, that, and maybe the little bit of difference here is I also don't mind to share things that I've walked all the way through and found the like a healing wisdom nugget or something like that. I'm never going to process openly with a larger audience. It's just not probably this lifetime going to happen. And that is just something that it's also something, a preference that I have for other people. Like I want to process with the people closest to me, and I want to save that for a select few, and then I want to share and share the wisdom or whatever has come through it with a larger audience. And so there's it's almost, to me, it's like that's the good thing about me and it's the bad thing about me. It's like kind of a little bit of both. And I think it's the same with you. It's like so it's almost like, where do we find balance in that? Because it's like that's a really amazing thing about you, and it can also be a detriment at times. So
yeah, I can easily open up to the wrong
to the wrong
person.
person, yeah, who could maybe
And
then hold it against you, but then I'm so guarded that it's harder to get past all those, it's
yeah.
harder to get on that inside track.
So to the listener, figure out where you are on that spectrum, and try to find balance. That's,
And you know what word I like better than balance? I was little ones in the room, and if he's saying hello from over here with his little pitiful cough. The word I prefer to balance is really harmony. And I was talking with a client yesterday about this, and she reminded me that in my program, in one of the videos, I was talking about that, and how balance is even a bit it can feel a bit restricting at times, like it has to be in this perfect balance, and life just isn't a perfect balance. But if we can find some kind of flow and harmony, just all the way back to the beginning of our entire conversation with nervous system, it's finding balance is still a good word. I'm just offering another word to fit in and flow with this, of saying it doesn't have to be a perfect even balance all the time, because it's just not. Life's crazy and chaotic. And so if we can even just call it a harmony within that larger system.
Yeah, and so thinking metaphorically, as I am prone to do, I even lean less towards a word and more towards a picture. You don't want to drive in a ditch. And sometimes, unfortunately, when you find yourself driving in a ditch, what do? You overcorrect. And if you overcorrect, you may go in the other ditch. And so instead of the best way to avoid ditches is never to overcorrect or to lean towards one ditch, but instead to try and drive in the middle.
Yeah.
And so there's my metaphor. So.
I love it. And I'll take it even one step further, where is what we're really reaching for is the feeling.
Yeah.
Because ultimately that's the thing that's going to make the difference. So if you can have if everything is energy, which it is, then how you feel within that energy really matters. And so if you can use a word or a picture or an image or a sound or a breath work or whatever to allow yourself to come into a beautiful state, a good feeling state, then that's kind of how you're going to know where you are in relation to use your picture, the road. Are you floating right down the middle, or are you driving off the cliff?
All right. Well, I think we've squeezed this metaphor for all it's worth.
I think we could go further, but we won't.
Okay. Thank you very much to the dreamer, this week's dreamer, who submitted a dream. If you have a dream you'd like to have us approach, then feel free to submit it. We can't get to all of them, but we'll get to as many as we can. And
and if you'd like a private reading with us, just send us a message and let us know, and we'll make it happen.
Absolutely.
We are grateful for you listening into this podcast and being here with us. And we can't wait to chat with you next week.
See you guys.